One thing I would like to point out on this question of the visual dimension, and particularly, I speak of cinema in the Indian case. Of course, you can expand the idea of cinema to include, for instance, television. Television
Right.
series are a very major part now. Uh, uh, One of the things that I emphasize is the very distinctive nature of a particular narrative form that emerged for all sorts of reasons, that emerged within Indian cinema, and irrespective of the different languages, because Indian cinema is, it's not just Hindi. There are very significant, extremely large bodies of cinema that are produced, let's say, in the southern Indian states. And there is a very, you might say, almost typical form that had emerged, which is called the melodrama. The melodrama is a very, very powerful narrative form that cinema has produced in order precisely to deal with social questions. The idea of good and bad, good and evil, the good finally winning, of the ordinary people being on the good side, and the rich and the powerful being the evil side. This is a very standard kind of narrative form. Uh, Now, it seems to me that this form particularly lends itself to populist narrative, to populist politics. The leader very often is put in this position of the hero fighting the villain on the side of the innocent people, fighting, and finally the good will win, the good hero wins. So that's the form that is very, very powerful. What it seems to me, if you were to use the same argument, or to see to what extent that works in let's say in the United States, I wouldn't say Hollywood cinema is quite the appropriate form. If you want to understand Trump, because Trump, in a sense, Trump very much fits into this model of the melodramatic, construction of the world. And perhaps, I'm not an expert on American television serials and so on, but to the extent that Trump is also a product of precisely American television, I think there must be something there. I mean, it's not for me to make the analysis because I don't know enough about it. But it just seems to me that that's the real connection between what television serials and the possibilities of melodrama on television serial, or the television, what is it called, reality show format. Uh, so that may have something to do with trying to explain how Trump's popularity and all the stories, which generally speaking, the news media simply discounts as based on entirely false narratives. And yet, why do people believe in these false narratives? And let's not forget that there are large numbers of people who do.
Yes.
And so that's, it seems to me, is an interesting question one could follow.